This is Base Hit Ball 4.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Base Hit Ball 4. My name is Glenn Denegris alongside Tyler Blumenstick, Scott Roswald, and Alex Cashman. We're another week closer to the start of the MLB season. Summer camp is well underway as many teams have launched some inter-squad scrimmages. The Yankees had a couple televised scrimmages the last couple of days, including Garrett Cole, who just finished up his start 15 minutes ago, completely dominated on the mound, except for an Andujar home run. But something that I saw the other day, it was very interesting. It was the 4th of July weekend, and guys, I hope you had a good 4th. I'm sure you guys did something. But this is the first 4th of July weekend without baseball since 1981, and the second since 1871. So it's weird to have the 4th of July and no baseball. So I'll start off with a little fun question about the 4th of July. What did you guys do without baseball?
I'll jump on. Ty, you go ahead. Go ahead, Ty.
Sorry.
I'm dying to know how you guys did.
So I had no plans the night before until about 11:30. My friends had plans to go golfing, so I kind of jumped on late. There were only 3 of them, so I filled the 4th spot. I drank in the morning, then came home,
Nice.
took a nap, and then I went to my friend's for a barbecue, drank a little bit more, and it was good. It was a nice little kind of impromptu 4th of July, so we'll take it.
A very low-key 4th of July?
Impromptu. No, yeah, it was kind of low-key. I mean, you can't really
Yeah.
go anywhere, do anything.
I
Not
know.
that I usually do anyways, but I don't know. I went to a Yankee Blue Jay game a while ago on 4th of July with my family. That was fun.
Yeah. It's weird
I don't know.
without baseball. Scott,
Yeah,
how
it's
was your
just
4th?
strange.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, typical 4th of July for me. Spent it down in Long Beach Island at the family beach house. Relaxed on the beach. Read a nice book. We had a nice little family barbecue. For dinner. Beaches were packed. Ton of people. Wanted to enjoy the warm weather. It's definitely weird though because we should be watching baseball. It's a huge part of my 4th of July personally. I love, I'll watch any baseball game that's on at that point. So it was weird not having it, but it's still enjoyable being able to just be at the beach.
They always have a full slate. They start with the Nationals at like 11 on 4th of July because they always have a home game. It's just weird, man, not having anything. Cash, what'd you do? The Miners have a fireworks?
We did. We had our biggest fireworks
Nice.
show. 20 minute
Biggest?
fireworks. Yeah, 20
Huge.
minute fireworks show. It's usually our biggest game of the year. Last year we had 5,500 people. This year we didn't have quite as many, but there was no game. But it was a very successful night. We had a lot of people come and a very busy night. I'm still a little sore. A lot of standing, a lot of running around, but it was an awesome night.
Yeah, it was fun. I didn't really do much except on Sunday I went to Point Pleasant and I got this guy. Want to introduce you.
Oh, I saw your Snapchat stories.
This is Point Pleasant Paul.
Wow.
He's huge.
He's beautiful.
Ginormous.
Look at
A
that.
panda? A blue panda?
Yeah, it's a panda. It's a blue panda. I won him on the ring toss game when you
Nice.
first walk up the boardwalk at Jenks.
It's
So
a
did you-
Pablo
did you
Sandoval
feel
summer
like-
camp special.
Yes.
Did you feel like you were on the first episode of Jersey Shore when they went
I
to the
did.
boardwalk
I
and
did.
The situation was trying to win a prize for Sammy?
That's exactly what I felt like doing, except I didn't have anyone to win the prize for. I won it for myself.
Hey,
That's the only caveat there. But it was a good time.
That's important too.
What?
The boardwalk was packed. So you had to wear a mask, but, you got to stay safe. Cash, were you going to
You
ask me
weren't wearing a
something?
mask in your Instagram story.
Yeah,
Glenn.
I took it off for the picture. I'm assuming.
Oh,
Jesus
you're
Christ.
spreading the virus.
Oh, my God. Cash, were you going to say something?
No, I decided to keep my mouth shut.
No, come on. Say what you want to say, please.
Absolutely not.
No, do it.
No.
Okay, whatever. Well,
When we're not recording, we can have this conversation.
okay, great. All right. So anyway, second 4th of July with no baseball in the last, 200, how long ago was 1871? That's like
Couple
240 years, 239 years, if my math is correct. Anyway, baseball looks like it's on the mend and going to return in a couple weeks. The schedule was released, I believe, over the weekend, where all the teams got their schedules. We got Yankees and Nationals. That was rumored for a while. That's going to be the opening night, along with the Dodgers and Giants in the late game that day. Scott, when do the Phillies open up with?
They open up with the Marlins at home on the 24th. So hopefully a sweep. But if going off of last year's performance against the Marlins, there's potential the Phillies get swept.
Yeah,
which
that would be
not be
tough
good.
because that wouldn't be good because the second series of the year is the Yankees
the
and
third.
Phillies. So that's going to be a good time on this podcast. It's going to be a
Yeah.
good time because we get to banter with each other right off the bat with the Yankees and Phillies. So,
Something
guys,
we usually don't get. So
immediate reaction to the schedules. Any of the teams, any of the schedules anything catch your mind?
I haven't really looked through everybody's schedule. I looked at the Yankees schedule. I know I saw one of your tweets. You pointed out that they have 12 games in a row in the middle of the season without leaving New York City, which I think is pretty big.
And
I
if
think
you expand it, it's 15 out of 18 games.
Yeah, I mean that's going to end up in a 60-game season being one of the pivotal points of the year because I mean we know how good the Yankees are at home. Obviously, no fans now this year, so we don't really know. But no, I think that could play huge for them.
I think I saw a tweet because the Yankees' last 20 of the games of the season, I think 17 of them are against teams that lost 95 plus games during the regular season, and the other 3 being against the Red Sox that didn't have a good season at all. They were under 500. So what I thought was if the Yankees are near or at first place through 40 games, I think they take it. Because
I think
the
that's a
way
fair
the schedule,
assumption.
the way that
Absolutely.
schedule goes out. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a marathon, not a marathon. It's going to be a sprint. And one of the things that needs to happen for the Yankees specifically is that their ace needs to be their ace the entire time, every time he takes the mound, and that's Garrett Cole. And I don't know if you guys watched 15 minutes ago, he was really good in his scrimmage game.
Yep, I agree. So I have in front of me the based on 2019 winning percentages, the toughest 2020 schedule and the easiest 2020 schedule. Opponents' average winning percentage. The Angels and the Marlins are tied for the toughest with a 53% winning percentage. Then the Orioles, the Mariners, the Rockies, and the Rangers. So initially jumping out at me there, my Orioles under bet from last episode, I like. Even though, I mean, it's a marginal difference, but, I mean, it still makes sense. And then you go down to the easiest 2020 schedules. The Twins at 44.9%. The Indians, then the Cardinals, then the White Sox, and the Dodgers, and the Rays. So good teams playing kind of favorable schedules here. So I don't know.
And that's something that's going to be really interesting about this season, especially when we talk about the wild card teams and who's competing for the wild card teams. I saw this on MLB Network the other day, and they used Scott's Phillies as an example. Scott's Phillies are playing a very, very tough schedule with the rest of the NL East and the AL East. And a team like the Diamondbacks that they also compared to, who are playing the Western divisions, the winning percentage of those two schedules are completely different, and that's going to determine the wild card. So hypothetically, the Phillies could have a much better team in terms of talent than the Diamondbacks, but just the way the schedule works out, the Diamondbacks have more wins to get than the Phillies would. So it's a very unfair. I mean, it's really not the right thing to do in this kind of season, this kind of pandemic, to bitch and moan about the schedule because we're lucky to have baseball at all. But it's unfair in terms of the wild card because we're not playing everybody and not everyone's having an equal schedule.
Yeah, to sort of jump on that for the Phillies, as we mentioned, we get the Yankees early, which I actually love because I think both teams are still going to be kind of figuring it out at that point, still working out the kinks of this little bit of a layoff. So even though it's going to be a tough matchup to start, even if it's 5 games in a row, 3 in Philly and 2 in New York, even if they struggle a little bit there and go 2 and 3 against the Yankees, they'll still be in a position to be able to rally back the rest of the way and not have to worry about running up against the Yankees later in the season when those games are going to matter even more. Going off the Philly schedule again, I wish we got more than 3 games against the Orioles just for a couple more easy wins, but it is what it is. But when I mentioned the Twins having the easiest schedule, that was what jumped out at me because they were a really good team last year. That team hits. Everybody on that team hits. They had, 5 guys with 30-plus homers last year, and they went out and added Josh Donaldson. So that offense is going to be incredible. Pitching, they added a few arms to that rotation and their bullpen. So I got to imagine the Twins are going to be one of the best teams in baseball this year just based off of schedule. And even though I picked the Indians last week to go under, and they have one of the easier schedules as well. I'm sticking with my under on that one because I still believe that they're going to stay. So
I want to pivot to the Yankees real quick. So this article I'm reading on CBS Sports says the Yankees are a loser through September 2nd. They opened the 2020 season playing 33 of their first 36 games against teams that were over 500 last year. I feel like that just attests to the division because, I mean, the Rays were good. The Blue Jays, I think, were over 500, and so were the Red Sox. And then you look at the NL East, and you got, the Braves, the Phillies. We've touched on this, but good teams. And then they're a winner after September 2nd, which, Glenn, goes along with your other point here. They'll play all but one of their final 7 series games against teams that lost 95 games or more last year. So, yeah, I mean, it lines up.
So that's their opportunity to really get fat and compile a lot of wins in a row. But I hate when, especially with the Yankees, when they say, oh, they're facing all these teams front-loaded above 500. Well, the Yankees are a very good team, too. So a team like the Nationals or the Phillies, they're saying, oh, shit, we got to play the Yankees. It's not like the Yankees can't hold their own against over 500 teams. Because the power rankings came out, and the Yankees are second to the Dodgers in terms of power rankings, in terms of MLB.com. I don't like that, oh, it's a tough schedule because they're over 500, because the Yankees are over 500 too. And then you add Garrett Cole, and God willing, they're all healthy because Judge is going to be healthy, and Hicks is not going to miss a game from Tommy John, and Stanton's going to be healthy. The Yankees are a very good team, so they should be able to weather those tough matchups within the AL and NL East, no problem. Not no problem, but they should be able to hold their own until they get to that last 20-game stretch where it should be a cakewalk.
So what I don't understand here is these power rankings. Can we break down real quick, how do you possibly put the Dodgers above the Yankees at this point in time? Considering David Price opted out of the season, and that's a lost arm in their rotation.
I think David Price leaving the Dodgers actually makes them better, to be honest with you.
I don't think so.
he's still good. He gets out of the American League. I
I think they put the Dodgers ahead because their schedule is so much easier than the Yankees schedule.
But that's not necessarily what a power ranking would be. Like, especially when you haven't seen a game yet. Like, outside of Clayton
Dodgers
Kershaw,
have also been right there every single year at the top of the National League.
Right. How many of the
games?
How many of the last World Series have the Dodgers been in?
Before last year, they were
2 straight.
3, right? 2 straight?
Yeah. Astros and Red Sox, they lost to.
Yankees haven't been in the World Series since 2009.
Also, the Dodgers won, 108 games last year?
Yeah. I would say
they walked off like a million times, too. I mean, they had that – they collapsed in Game 5 against the Nationals. You forget they were 6 outs away from moving on, and then Kershaw came in October and does what Kershaw does in October.
And they also have the reigning
I don't have a problem with the Dodgers being 1. I'm not going to get on my soapbox and complain about it.
But at the end of the day, what is their rotation outside of Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler? They don't have Hyunjin Ryu anymore. They don't have Kenta Maeda anymore. Now they don't have David Price. Who are those 3, 4, and 5 guys for the Dodgers? Who? The Yankee pitching staff blows them out of the water. The lineup is comparable. The bullpen is arguably better, if not comparable. I just don't understand how you rank that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
I think it's about schedule.
Again, that's not power rankings, though. That's rankings. But,
especially preseason. That's the thing.
I don't know. If you look at their outfield of the Dodgers, you have Cody Bellinger, who MVP candidate, Mookie Betts, MVP candidate. Who else you got in the outfield there?
Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson is a very solid bat.
So I would put Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and Brett Gardner or Aaron Hicks just up there with those guys to the point where it's a wash.
No, I don't agree with that. I'm gonna favor Dodgers.
Do you think Bellinger they put health into account? Because the Dodgers have been able to stay healthy more than the Yankees have been.
Stan and Judge can't stay on the field. As much as I love Judge, he doesn't stay on the field at all.
I wouldn't say I think he's pretty durable for the most part.
What do you mean? No.
He had to have played 125, 130 games last year.
No way.
No, I think he played like 100.
102 last year, 112 the year before, 155.
I don't think the 2018 injury is fair because that was a hit by pitch on the wrist and he broke his wrist.
Fine.
That's not
his fault. This year?
He missed 60 games last year.
That's the quad.
He would have missed up until now if the season started on time.
Yeah. He would have missed half the season.
with an injury that nobody took care of in September. Can we talk about that for a second?
Well, they were in a playoff run.
No. That's not my point. But he got hurt at the end of September, at the end of the season, and he played through it, which is amazing. He even had a home run with it, which is great, and it's honorable. And then he comes into spring training, and he just doesn't feel right. So to me, that means that the injury was never looked at.
It's either that or it's just in a pesky spot. I mean, it's an oblique injury. So, like,
I don't understand.
tweak
that.
that
I feel
doing
like
anything.
he
That's
must
the
have
thing.
gotten to. He must have had that injury swinging, like aggravated it swinging during spring training.
He's
That's
done
how
that
they
twice
found
so
it.
far.
Okay, but
Are you swinging during the regular season, during the off season in November and December?
yeah,
and
that's
feeling
what my
that
point
pinch?
is. That's what my point is. I don't understand how it was just ignored for 4 months.
I mean, it's a moot point now because he's not going to miss any games, and he was playing 20 minutes ago. But if the
I'm just saying, to me, that's concerning.
if the
I don't
season
know.
had started on time and it was a normal year, that would have been a huge blow for the Yankees.
And
huge.
Stan would not be starting opening day. Hicks wouldn't be
Hicks would-
starting until now.
James Paxton wouldn't have started on time.
Paxton.
I mean, you can
Who else
honestly
was
say
hurt?
that the Yankees caught a huge break with the season being delayed.
Who else was hurt?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Wasn't Ottavino hurt? No,
I don't-
Canley.
Canley.
I think Canley was hurt. I mean, I don't know. I mean, regardless of that, my point being, I as much as I love the Yankees and I'll take them to the grave with me, the Dodgers outfield I'd have to put above the Yankees. I mean, with Bellinger and Mookie right there, I mean, it's hard to top that. I mean, Stanton won MVP a few years ago, but since he's been in pinstripe, he really hasn't done the same thing. I mean, he's been okay. He's been solid. He's been a good bat. But, again, he hasn't been able to stay on the field either. And then the infield, I mean, that's a toss-up, I guess. I guess you
Like,
could
you got
give that to the
Justin
Yankees.
Turner. You have
Seager.
Corey Seager.
TK
Martinez
Hernandez.
and Gavin Lux.
Yeah, I mean,
The depth of the Dodgers is just insane. The Yankees have good depth, but the Dodgers have like 12 All-Stars.
the
You
thing
know,
is,
that's
I
the
go back
thing.
to the pitching there, especially when you're going to be in a division. You're going to be playing you guys or teams like the Astros with a good lineup. You're going to be playing the Oakland Athletics with a good lineup. Like, these are teams that are going to whack around guys if they're not a solid number 3 and a solid number 4 and a solid number 5. Like, they have the capability to put runs up.
Well, remember, they're only
So-
playing the Astros and A's like 8 times combined.
Well, right
I
now on their
feel-
site, they have Kershaw, Buehler, Julio Urias, and Alex Wood.
So they need a 5th guy.
I mean, that's
But
four.
then they
pretty
also have
quality starters.
Ross Stripling, Jimmy Nelson, Dustin May, who's a young guy who's got great stuff.
Those 4
the-
starters are very quality starters.
The coveted Brewster Gratterall of the trade that fell through with Boston and Minnesota and the Dodgers. So they have arms.
But the point is, do you have
four-
arms good enough to be the number 1 spot in the power rankings? To the point where you beat a rotation of Garrett Cole, Paxton, Tanaka. I would argue Clark Schmidt is up there at this point. We haven't seen him yet, but
No, he's
not
not
gonna
as good as
I'm not
Alex
saying he's holding
Wood
weight
or
in this power
Urias.
rankings argument. But
All right, here's my problem with that, and then I guess we can move on because really is a moot point because it doesn't really matter. But the Dodgers staff has proven themselves. You know, the Yankees staff, first of all, guys like Tanaka, Severino, they were hurt a bunch last year. Jay Happ, who's going to be the 5th starter in the Yankees rotation, was horrible most of last year. And Paxton wasn't anything to write home about till the end of the year either. I mean, they've got these big names, and obviously Garrett Cole's best pitcher in MLB, in my opinion. But again, nobody's proved anything in pinstripes. And until the Yankees can get over the ALCS hump and get into the World Series, I don't have a problem with the Dodgers being number 1. I mean, they've done it. They haven't won the World Series, but the Yankees haven't been in the World Series since 2009.
It's definitely going to be interesting. It's definitely a flip of the coin. You can go either way. You can argue either Yankees or Dodgers to be number 1 at the power rankings. But moving on to a different topic, with the coronavirus happening throughout the summer camp, a lot of players are deciding to opt out. Cash mentioned David Price. Nick Parkakis has opted out. A plethora of other players have opted out. Really
It's at
throughout
9
all
right now.
sports. Really throughout all sports, there are opt-outs. So It's just the way the season is. I can't. Somebody who sent the article in our group chat today about some journalist said that they're copping out. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's a horrible thing to say. But that's just the world that we live in. Some people just look at this 60-game season and then they look at their families that they're trying to take care of and they say, you know what? It's probably not worth putting myself in a bubble and risking myself and traveling for a 60-game season. And I guess we just got to respect those decisions that those players make. I mean, it's unfortunate that we live in this kind of society, but can you really blame players for taking this season off? I know Ryan Zimmerman did it as well. Can you really blame these players for taking 60 games off?
No, family comes first. And
Can't.
if you have a kid, like I
mean,
this is
Garrett Cole
basketball.
his son was just born a couple of days ago.
I mean, this is basketball, but Avery Bradley for the Lakers has a kid who's at high risk, and if he would get the coronavirus, there's a good chance that he wouldn't do well with it. I'll put it. So he decided to take the rest of the season off, and to me, that's you're a father first, you're a husband first, so your family comes first, and if your family has an issue with you playing, and I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it sucks. And you want to see everyone out there and you want to see everyone playing, but there's no right answer, unfortunately.
I've seen a lot of reports, basically people coming out saying that the guys that are opting out, which at this point it's Mike Leake, Ryan Zimmerman, Joe Ross, Ian Desmond, Tyson Ross, who's a free agent, Wellington Castillo, David Price, Felix Hernandez, and Nick Markakis as of now. And obviously we've seen Mike Trout come out and basically say, hey, I don't completely feel comfortable right now, along with a bunch of other people, like Chris Bryant said it the other day. And people are making points saying that the guys that are making these decisions are the guys that are stable financially, or at least believe that they can go without playing the season and making the money. And when you review the list of the guys, it really does seem as if these are people that have made pretty lucrative contracts within their career. Like you look at a guy like Ian Desmond, like he's not a superstar by any means, but he's taken in tens of millions of dollars over the course of his career. So same thing when you look at Ryan Zimmerman. Even Mike Leake is okay with it. A lot of guys are going to be okay with it. And, I mean, at least for me, I haven't really been placing any of my over-under bets yet. I know I said I was going to do it right after the podcast last week. But I just want to see now who opts out. Like, if I take an over on the Angels and Mike Trout opts out the next day, I'm not going to feel too great about that. So it's just going to be one of those things that unfolds over the next 2 weeks.
I think that, Mike Trout,
be interesting.
To your point, Mike Trout's been at camp. So I think that most of the guys who are going to opt out have already done so. I don't think they'd be reporting for camp and putting themselves at risk for summer camp if they were going to opt out.
Well, that's why the testing right now is a huge deal, because it's a huge trust factor between the MLB and the MLBPA and the players. I mean, I know they're represented by the Players Association, but even on just like an individual basis, there's already really no trust there from all the negotiations that happened earlier with the contract. Both sides do not get along at this point in time and are kind of skeptical of the motives of the other people. And I know the MLB is obviously prioritizing testing and they really want to keep this safe. But like Chris Bryant said, they're dropping the ball here. And if there's any time to get it right, it's now. It's not – or if there's any time that you have to get it right because it's simple, no travel right now, it's only their teams individually right now. You don't have to worry about your opponents. Once you start going from city to city, it's about trusting the entire league and working together, because one team can screw it up for everybody else. So I feel like that's just where it stands at this point.
And so many of these rules are going to be really hard to follow. There's no high-fiving, no fist bumping. I mean, I saw it during watching the Yankees intramural game. There's still fist bump. It's these second nature things as a baseball player that, spitting, high-fiving, even touching the baseball. Every baseball has to get changed and disinfected, and baseball players are a creature of habits. And if a pitcher likes a baseball, he's going to keep it until it gets fouled off out of play and you can't get it anymore. That's not the way it's going to be now. It's going to be more like how you see in a tennis match where a ball hits the net, you get a new ball immediately. It's just going to be a completely different ball game, and all these different things that baseball players are so used to, that's engraved in their mind, that's been engraved in their mind since they were children, that's completely off the table now. It's going to take a while for them to get adjusted to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things is going to be the spitting. I know I do it when I was out there playing. It's just kind of a natural thing to do.
Yeah, it's just a
Um,
baseball thing.
Like what's going to happen when, I don't know, a pitcher's out there on the mound and he gets frustrated, he steps off the mound, he spits, and then he tries to go to his mouth. Like, is he going to get? What's going to happen? Is the umpire going to step out there and give him a warning? Like,
Is he going to get ejected? Is he going to get
Yeah, like,
fined?
what's-
Like, how,
I
what's
think
the
it's going to be more of an
protocol
issue
there?
with fines. You're not going to take a guy off the field, be like, hey, you spit, and like you're going to have to go do instant replay and basically zoom in and see if he actually spit. Like, it's not going to happen that way. It's going to be more on a fine basis, and I guess the more you do it, then the more money you're going to get
and
fined,
what's
which I think
okay
is
and what's
ridiculous.
not? Can Christian Yelich spit when he's by himself in right field? Is that okay? And then spitting at the plate when you're by the catcher and the umpire, that's not okay. It's just a lot of these rules. I feel, in my opinion, are just going to be impossible to enforce because you
I gotta
can't.
be honest with something, and it might sound a little controversial, but I'm okay with that. I think if you're gonna play, just play. If you're gonna play, listen. The guys are together in the locker room. Are they not showering?
I don't think they are.
No,
I think
you
they have to
go
shower when
home
they
and
get home.
shower.
Okay, so they're still in the locker room together. You're telling me they're not fist bumping each other? I mean, when I see
Saying
Tyler,
hello to someone.
Right,
If
when
I
I
saw
see
you guys,
Tyler-
I go like that. Yeah.
right? I mean, and that's normal and that's okay. I'm not licking the back of my hand. But I think that if you're gonna play, just play. I mean, I think some of the rules are there and they're not really going to be followed to a T. I think they're there to save MLB's ass in case something does happen. They want it written so that in case, God forbid, someone does come down with the coronavirus, that they said, hey, listen, we said no spitting, something like that. But I don't think that if a player spits, they're going to get fined unless they do it like at somebody or next to somebody. But like you said, if Christian Yelich is in right field by himself, first of all, the camera's not sitting on him the whole time. Second of all, if he spits, okay. If Glaber hits a walk-off home run, what's going to happen? What's going to happen with a walk-off home run?
You can't dogpile.
He's just going to touch home plate and walk into the dugout and go home.
Are they going to do a lineup at the end of the game, a high five lineup, or are they just going to walk out of into the locker room?
It's
crazy.
If you're going to play, play.
But what I don't understand here,
I kind of agree with you to an extent. I mean, safety obviously has to be the most important thing.
Not saying it doesn't.
But I'm agreeing with you. At some point, you just got to do what's natural.
but I know there's a
How are other
possibility of-
sports going to be? How
It's gonna
hockey,
be the same thing.
basketball?
Yeah,
Right,
Those
so
are
that's
actually
post a guy up.
You are
Right.
constantly touching people in football and basketball and in hockey. I mean, baseball has it kind of easy because you're social distance naturally because the positions are all over the place and not everyone is conglomerated at the same time. These other sports are in for a nightmare if they think they could pull this off, all these rules off.
But I know there's a chance that like you're getting tested once every 2 days, and I know there's there's a frequency to this testing process, and every guy that's on the field has been tested negative. And I get kind of being cautious about this, but like to Cash's point, like why not just go out there and play? Like you're opting into this, you're tested negative. If you're not symptomatic, there's no reason why you can't fist bump somebody. Like it doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense completely, but it also at the same time is a little overbearing. And I know that all eyes are on the MLB as the first major sport coming back. And I don't know if the
And then you got
UFC,
people-
which has been happening, is still going on, and they're going to Fight Island this Saturday for a 3-fight series in 3 consecutive weeks. These guys do the same process. They get tested multiple times before the fight. They're confirmed negative. They go out and they wrestle each other and they touch each other at about as close proximity as you could possibly get. And it's been fine so far. They haven't had any issues.
To your point, Ty, that's what I don't understand. If you're so cognizant about testing these guys every day, every other day, which is great, right? And they're all coming back negative, then what's the point of taking these precautions on the field?
I mean, I understand taking precautions, but it's just
You got to
I
keep
don't-
testing because they leave this. They're not in a bubble. They're going home and they're traveling, so they're interacting
get
with the
that.
outside world. So you still have to keep
No.
testing.
No, and I'm not saying they shouldn't. But what I'm saying is then I don't understand why you can't fist bump. I don't understand why to me it's
Because it still takes 24 hours for that new test to come back, whether you're positive or negative.
I get it.
And these players, I mean, it's hard. They can't go out to eat. I don't think they can get their hair cut. They can't interact with people who aren't I guess, in the Major League Baseball community.
Well, I think
Because
every
they don't
team
know.
has their. I think that what I read was every team has their own barber. Not that that's a huge deal, but just to give my 2 cents.
No, yeah, I'm sure they could afford their own barber, but some people have their guy. Everybody has their guy,
I'm just saying,
Can't go to restaurants, they can't go to bars. Not that anyone's doing that anyway. It's just it seems like a close to impossible thing for any of these sports to pull off this year to finish
I don't
a
think
season.
it's going to be as much of a
I think
big deal.
I think they can start it. I think they can get pretty far into it. But this virus changes every day.
No,
The
I don't agree,
hotspots
Glenn.
change every day.
I don't agree. I think that I think it's going to be okay. Once we get started and things going on, I think that everyone will get used to what's going on. I think it'll be okay. I think they'll finish the season.
I mean, God forbid if there's an outbreak with a whole team, can you shut a whole team down and continue the season?
I think
These
if that
teams
happens, it's not going to go on.
these teams in Florida, the Tampa, the Miamis. I mean, we're blessed that New Jersey's done a good job of flattening the curve, and things are opening up. We're in phase 3 of the reopening, but a lot of states are turning back their reopenings and going back to square one.
Yeah, but I would gotta imagine if a whole team, I guess that's why they have the 60-man roster too. Is if a whole team got wiped out at that point, they would have to shut down. They wouldn't be able to continue moving forwards.
But I think the whole league comes to a halt, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If one
Yeah.
team has an outbreak, they're gonna have to shut down the whole league because those guys came in contact with how many other players in the league.
And if one guy gets it
Well,
during the
theoretically,
season
none.
when they're all together, because DJ LeMahieu is either has it or is asymptomatic, or I don't know the medical terminology, but he's self-isolating until he's
The only
better.
player right now.
But if that
is
happens
somewhat-
while the season's happening and he was in the locker room with everyone and then got a positive test, then don't you have to still isolate everyone until?
Well,
everyone-
theoretically, that's the point of all these precautions, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how. Whatever.
I mean, I saw the report on the initial testings were what? I think it was 1.9% came back positive, and that was it.
1.2.
Yeah,
which
and that
is
was
great.
that was better than all the 4 teams.
Can we talk about this for 2 seconds, please? Because to me, this is wild. 1%
of MLB players tested positive.
and
what was
staff
that?
combined.
Okay, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over 3,000 people.
Because they were social distancing.
That's great, and that's awesome for them. They did a
Mhm.
great job. 16% of the NBA.
It was 7.2.
Where did I read 16?
I'm not sure, but it was 7.2.
You doubled it.
7.2 is an absurd amount more.
And NHL was somewhere in the 6s. It's just and all right, say you take that 1% and then you remove the people that are symptomatic, like Freddie Freeman and a couple more people. It's not many that are actually
Yeah,
symptomatic.
Freddie Freeman is not feeling good.
No, he's not. But so the point being is, like, if you're not symptomatic, the chances of you spreading the virus is extremely, extremely, extremely slim. Because look, we don't even know how the virus is really effectively spreading at this point. Is it airborne? Are they droplets? Is it surfaces? Like, who the heck knows at this point? But if you're not coughing, you can't really spread the virus, or coughing,
Especially if
sneezing.
you're wearing a mask.
Yeah, like you just can't. You can't do it. Like it just. I don't know. I personally think that in the sports world, it's a little bit blown out of proportion here, the effect that it might have. Knock on wood, there's nothing crazy that happens throughout the season in any sport, but I don't know. I think it's going to be safe once people get in the groove and get used to it.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Let's just hope so. Let's hope so.
It's definitely going to be different. I mean, I'm rooting for the season to get completed. I want a World Series to watch in October, but it's going to be very difficult to get every player on board with going to the ballpark and back to their house or hotel every time, not straying away, not getting into restaurants or anything like that. Everyone needs to buy in and work together as a league to follow the guidelines recommended by the CDC, recommended by Major League Baseball, by the commissioner, to just get in and get out. And if you want to go to a restaurant and you want to spit and you want to go to a bar and you want to hang out with people, you got to wait a couple months until you can.
Or opt out.
or opt out. Exactly. So
And Aaron Judge said that a couple days ago.
yeah, he did. He should be captain immediately. I love that guy. If he would just stay healthy. I mean, if he stays healthy, I mean, he might be extension eligible next year. He might be captain eligible next year. He just needs to put up a season like he did in 17. But I don't want to talk about that right now. What I want to talk about is something that kind of blew up over the weekend. I thought it was kind of funny. I also thought it was kind of sad. The Pablo Sandoval picture. I don't know if you guys saw this. A beat reporter for the Giants. I hope you guys saw this. He tweeted out a very unflattering picture of Pablo Sandoval, and then tweeted how his throws looked good. Carabas over at Barstool jumped all over it because he doesn't like him because he sucked as a Red Sox, and everyone went
the Red
on
Sox
and
made
on.
him skinny.
Yeah.
It's the Red Sox fault.
Went on and on about his weight. I thought it was kind of funny, but open forum here. What were you guys' initial reaction to the Sandoval picture? I cannot believe he looks the way he does.
It's definitely a little jarring.
big.
I mean, like,
He's a big
He was
guy.
big.
He's always been big, but that's a little obscene.
but you look at guys that have been successful, like Prince Fielder, for example. He was never skinny by any means or truly in shape. Like, yes, he's in shape to play baseball, and he's an athletic guy, and he got the job done. But like, you're Pablo Sandoval. Like, he's not a first baseman, but like, he's called Panda, like, for a reason. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily stemmed from that, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't think
He's
it's
a
a
World
huge
Series
deal.
MVP.
As long as he can do things, like,
10 years ago.
there's no problem with it.
Still. Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, he's been able to play like that. And when he went to Boston, they had weight clauses in there, and they made him drop weight, and he struggled. And
Do you really tie in the weight loss to struggling? Do you think those go hand in hand?
Yeah.
CeCe said it had an effect on him. You guys saw
CeCe
it
was a
firsthand in New
pitcher.
York.
It's a pitcher. Pitcher's
But
completely different.
Still, he said when he lost weight, that affected him.
And that might also be an excuse for being terrible.
David Ortiz was a big dude.
But
David
I feel
Ortiz
they
was
were
never-
strong. They were strong
Ortiz
guys.
played half the
Pablo
game.
Sandoval's a big guy.
Prince Fielder and David Ortiz, those are strong guys. I think Pablo's fat. And especially when you're in quarantine and you have nothing to do other than, work out and get in shape.
Or eat.
That's a
Hey,
bad
if
look
I-
when you decide to do what Cash just said and eat. There's a difference between being bulky, like a Mike Ford on the Yankees, and being fat. I think Pablo's fat, and I think that's a problem.
Hey, he's a 280 career hitter, and he won a World Series MVP. If you told me I would have that, I'd take that in a day. I wouldn't even have to think about it. You take that career too. 3-time World Series champion.
No, you should
It's how he
you should
is.
take care of yourself, I guess.
That-
I don't know.
If that's how he is comfortable, then he's comfortable that way. He's made a career out of it. He was a pretty
Yeah,
damn good baseball
I mean,
player.
yes and no, Scott. He also didn't look like that a few months ago during spring training. So that leads me to believe that he hasn't worked out.
That's fine.
The
He's
guy hit
also on a minor league
268
contract.
last year in 108 games. He played more games than Aaron Judge last year. At really, 20 pounds lighter maybe? And 20 pounds when you're that heavy. I mean, not that he's that heavy, but when he's probably around 260. Like, the difference of 240 and 260 is not much if your agility's there. If he can play third base, he can play third base. I don't think it really takes much away. Hell,
And
I
the
saw
Giants do
reports
have
that
a
the
DH
Giants are
roster.
trying to go sign Barry Bonds to DH. If people were mulling with the idea.
That would have been amazing.
And if
by
you're
the way.
okay with that, I would love to see that. But if you're okay with that, you got to be okay with this.
I would love to see it so he could take Trevor Bauer deep.
That'd be hilarious.
Trevor Bauer was wearing a Houston Astros Trastros shirt. I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. I'm now a Trevor Bauer guy. I don't know if you know that, Scott.
That didn't
I-
take much.
I
That's
love
good.
Trevor
Good
Bauer.
for you. I'm
It's
glad.
so easy for me to get on your side. It's so easy.
Yet it's taken me 5 years and we're still not
you
there.
make it
Nope,
so
not
hard.
there yet. Yep. I pick and choose.
Kidding.
All right, what else is on the docket? You guys start something.
I have the betting lines for the first two games, Yankees,
Wonderful.
Nats, and Giants, Dodgers. Let's start with Giants, Dodgers. So they're projecting the pitchers to be Johnny Cueto and Kershaw, which I feel like is understandable as Bumgarner is not a Giant anymore.
Isn't
We don't
Bueller
have
the
a
guy
catch
now in
for
Los
it.
Angeles?
Yeah,
No.
Bueller's the dude.
I mean,
Buehler's the
he's
guy.
the dude, but he's not the number one. You can't just bump Kershaw.
Of course,
from
he's the number one.
Kershaw's done nothing wrong. You can't just take Clayton Kershaw.
Okay,
out of
well,
the number one spot.
CeCe wasn't the opening day starter every year for the 10 years. I mean, eventually you get bumped.
All right, well, who's the number 2 guy for the Giants? Like,
Who they have?
Buehler's going to go
Barcia?
out there on day 2, and he's just going to beat him down. Like, it's whatever. Kershaw
I just feel like
more than
opening
capable of
day
beating Johnny
opening
Cueto.
day should be the best pitcher now. It shouldn't be a time machine tour.
All right,
where
last year
you're-
Strasburg was arguably better than Max Scherzer.
Max
And
Scherzer has the contract. He's still very good.
that's my point
Kershaw
here.
doesn't have the
With
contract?
Kershaw versus a guy like Walker Buehler, you can't just take him out
The
of
talent,
opening day.
the gap between Buehler and Kershaw at this point is much wider than Strasburg and Scherzer, in my opinion.
Kershaw was
I
pretty
don't
good in
know.
the regular
Did
season.
Kershaw have a bad season last year? Did I miss something?
Maybe I'm just blinded by the playoffs. I feel like
They're
Walker's.
both very good pitchers, but
I'm
it's
sure,
like,
I know that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they're
I don't
very,
know.
very good. I'd go with Buehler opening day.
I
Good thing
wouldn't
you're not a
shame them
manager.
for going with either. But I don't know. I feel like from just what opening day holds and the fact that sometimes people take pride in starting consecutive opening days. Like that's not something you can just take away from Clayton Kershaw at this point in his career when he still has the stuff. So going back to the betting lines, the Giants are plus 235 on the money line. The Dodgers are minus 280. So I think they're showing some confidence in Kershaw there.
The Giants also suck. So
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a no-brainer. It's not something I'm necessarily going to bet unless I parlay it with the next game. But I feel like we're going to have no arguments here on who to take.
yeah, I'll take the Dodgers.
Can
Dodgers is
I
the
throw something out
top
there
3
for
team
you
in the
for
game.
Kershaw.
Go ahead.
So Clayton Kershaw has now started. I think if he starts this year, it'll be 9 straight opening day starts.
Oh,
In the
I didn't know he
in
had
the-
a streak going.
In the last 8, the Dodgers are 7-1, and Kershaw has personally gone 5-1 with a 1.05 ERA, 59 strikeouts, and 51 2/3 innings.
Okay, fine. I changed my mind. I was presented with new information, and now I changed my mind. So
And
point for
the
me.
Only,
I
the
should be
only loss
praised for my
was
maturity here.
The only loss was against the Dodgers, and Madison. I believe Madison Bumgarner hit a solo home run in that game, and
I remember
they
that
lost
game.
1-0.
All right, fine. Give him the
that
ball.
correctly.
That's fine.
So just based off that, Scott, I saw a tweet saying that if the DH never comes back, Madison Bumgarner is the last pitcher to hit a home run in the MLB.
Well, you don't know that. I mean, there can be a game that's weird, and you end up losing the DH, and a pitcher hits a home run.
Well, for now, he's the last guy, and I think it's fitting. So, all right, moving on.
Yeah, for you maybe because
I
he
still don't
pitched well
think
for you.
Madison Bumgarner home run negates the 90% of pitchers at bats that are terrible. But
You
we
better
had
be
this
careful with your words here on
we-
Madison Bumgarner because you're like,
No,
0 for
I'm
10.
saying his home runs don't convince me that there shouldn't be a DH in both leagues.
No, I agree with that. I mean,
Okay,
he's
that's
an
all I'm
anomaly there. All right.
Anemone.
The Yankees are minus 128 on the
Oh,
road,
I honestly
in
might put up
Washington.
$500 on that.
and Scherzer for the Nats at plus 110. Now, I had this conversation with my friends the other day in the car. We were trying to predict before the lines came out what it would be, and I said there is no way that the defending champions are home dogs. And I ended up being wrong here. I thought the Yankees would for sure be a very slight underdog on the road in Washington, even
There's
with
no
Garrett
fans,
Cole on
though,
the
so
mound.
that really affects lines when there's no fans. I mean, what
Well, my
is
friend made
home
that
field advantage
point.
anymore? If
Well,
there
home
were
field
fans in the
advantage is batting
stands,
in the bottom of the ninth.
if there were fans, I feel like the Yankees would absolutely be dogs.
Yeah, I mean,
The
I don't know.
Nationals are also going to be without Anthony Rendon for the first time and Ryan Zimmerman, 2 pretty important guys for that team.
And the Yankees have Garrett
and-
Cole going.
And Garrett
so-
Cole will be starting.
Garrett
opening
Let's
day
not
for the
forget,
Yankees.
the Nationals didn't win the division. I mean, they had a historic run, but it's still the regular season.
They're the World Series champs.
No, I understand that. I
I
understand.
mean,
but the power
don't know.
rankings that we were talking about before had the Nationals at like 7.
I feel like that's fair. at this point.
They're a worse team than they were last year. They're still a very good team, but they're a worse team than they were last year.
I mean, they're not
They
the
didn't
favorites
get-
to win the division this year.
They're not
They
going to
didn't
win the
get
division.
better.
They're not
I
going to
mean,
win the division.
the Braves are probably still the favorite. They've won it the last 2 years.
Oh, look at
You
this.
love
Look
your
what we got
Braves.
going on here.
Oh my God, you're such a fraud.
You look like
First
me
of
a
all-
couple episodes ago when I had the Mariners hat on and the Yankee
Yeah.
jersey.
I was just gonna say, I mean, Tyler gets to wear a Mariners hat and a Ken Griffey jersey. I put on a Braves hat and I get called a fraud.
That was wasn't that for? Aren't you the Mariners in like your men's league?
Yeah, it was my men's league.
Okay,
hat.
then
I
there
don't
it
go
is.
around-
Give me the BS.
I wear that hat on the field. I don't wear it around. I do wear it around.
Thank you. I'm
I
allowed
like
to wear
it,
whatever
but-
hat I want.
Yeah, but you don't play for the Braves. You just own stock in the Braves. I'm not gonna go
Thank
walk
you.
around with like a Zoom hat because I am.
I remember a
invested in
few
Zoom.
years ago during the
Well,
Cubs
maybe
run to the
you
World
should.
Series, you had a Cubs hat on during the entire month of October.
My mom went to Chicago and got me a Cubs hat. I
He wore
collect
it the
hats.
entire month. We had a class
That's
together
false.
the first
I did not
semester.
wear it the
collect
entire
hats.
month.
Every day. Every
I
day.
collect hats, so I have a bunch
I collect
of
hats too. Look at my
I'm-
wall up here. Look at all
My
these
mom
hats.
went to Chicago, and I asked her if she could please bring me home a Chicago Cubs hat, and she said, "Of course, honey, anything for you." So I'm wearing the gift my mom.
Your
gave
mom
me.
is a saint.
My mom is a saint.
Your mom's a great
Can we
lady.
get her on the podcast?
You want to have her on?
Mom.
No,
Oh my
no.
God.
Right now?
Not yet. Not. I didn't prepare for an interview. I can't do
All
it.
right, never mind.
All right, let's clip that. That's going up on social media. It's just Cash.
That's
Mom.
That's gonna be the Instagram.
Great.
That's
My
gonna be
mom's
the
gonna come
Instagram
now
video.
because I just yelled. Watch this.
Unbelievable.
We should have an episode of with moms.
A mom. You know, we won't be in the podcast. We'll just have our 4 moms just talk on Zoom.
Just give them talking points.
Never
and just
met
tell them
each
to
other. They'll talk about baseball. We'll tell them. I don't know.
Interesting.
I think that's a good idea for a podcast.
I really
So-
do, because here's what I'm thinking. Right now, I'm just gonna think out loud.
Okay, go ahead.
All bring our moms on, and we ask our moms thoughts
Baseball
on
questions.
baseball questions, and whatever they say goes.
All right.
Because mom's are always right.
Moms are always right. My mom, Cash, you'd like my mom. She hates the fact that Joe Girardi's not the Yankees manager.
I already love your mom.
She just
And
despises.
she makes fun of you, so it's a win-win.
She does. She does. Good old Tara makes fun of me. But yeah,
Glenn,
she
can we talk
loves-
about the
Yeah.
Facebook video of your dad eating the what was
the
it?
bratwurst
Yes.
at the Germany Pavilion in Epcot?
Yes. That was amazing.
Go ahead.
That was the best thing I've ever seen.
Did you guys see it?
I did not
Yeah.
see this video.
You have to go see it.
Basically,
I
my
saw
dad drank around the world at Epcot and then decided to send me a video of his day. It's fun. It's nothing really more than that.
Where can I find this video?
It's on Facebook. If you go down my
Facebook,
Facebook,
okay.
it's there.
All right, I'll go find it.
So what else we got here?
Well, I think we need to re-loop back
let's
to
do
last
this.
week's end.
Okay.
With the
How long have we been talking?
So, I got an answer, and I'm assuming you guys
But
heard the same
we
thing.
need to. I think we need to set it back up.
You're right. You can do that, and then I'll hop in.
So last week at the end of the pod, I brought up the fact that I had heard an interesting thing on another one of the podcasts that I listened to, where there's a potential for a chance for a starting pitcher to throw a perfect game into an extra inning and then lose the game, and if whether or not it would still be a perfect game. It's a tough question because the pitcher didn't put that player on base. That player was forced onto second base by rule. That's not the pitcher's fault.
So, I'm assuming you guys heard the same thing I heard yesterday.
I heard
watching
it's
the
an
Yankee
error, but it's
scrimmage.
not to anyone.
No, that's not what Michael Kay said yesterday.
Oh, then I misheard him because that's what I heard it from.
Michael Kay said that if, regardless of who's pitching, okay, it's an unearned run to the team. So it is possible to throw a perfect game and lose. It is in the books a perfect game, and you still lose.
That would suck so much. I mean, the odds of it happening
But
are
the
low.
point of a perfect game is that the line is perfect.
Doesn't matter.
No runs,
That's not
no
your
hits,
run. That's
no
not
errors.
your run.
But
You
it's a
can-
run nonetheless.
It's still a perfect game, though. That's what
I
Michael
like
Kay
it.
said.
If
I
you're
like
in a
Michael
normal
Kay in that
in a
situation.
in a normal game, I'm not trying to argue. I'm just being devil's advocate. Cash likes to be devil's advocate all the time. I'm going to do it now. If you're pitching a normal game and you're pitching a perfect game in the 8th inning, and then there's a ground ball to short, and the shortstop boots it, that's not your fault.
No, but it's a no-hitter.
Yeah.
But wouldn't, if there's a run, even if it's not your fault,
But
again, wouldn't that still be a
runner
no-hitter?
is-
Just a
that
no-hitter.
runner is placed onto second base.
Yeah, it's
by
nobody's
an
fault.
extra
It's like
eight.
Rob Manfred's fault.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
Everything's
run
Rob
is,
Manfred's fault.
That
And then-
run is on Rob Manfred. His ERA goes up. But I'm just saying.
And
so,
he doesn't have the opportunity to even get out. It's going to be like the Trevor Rosenthal, like, infinite ERA, like in the beginning of last year.
But again, what starter's pitching in the 10th inning anyway?
I mean,
well, Ching
there's
Ming
a
Wong.
chance Garrett Cole's dealing.
Ching Ming Wong threw 81
name.
pitches through 9 innings not last year. A
Last
long time
year,
ago.
yeah.
I'll never forget it. It was after my T-ball game. My grandmother came up to me and she goes, "You know what Ching Ming Wong just did?" And I said, "No, I was playing T-ball." And she said he just threw 81 pitches in 9 innings and gave up 4 hits and a complete game shutout. And I said, "I want a Ching Ming Wong jersey."
Did you get one?
It would
I
have
got a
to
shirt,
be-
a jersey.
would
See,
have
if
to
you
be
got
someone
an
who pitches
authentic
to
jersey,
contact.
you would have a Severino jersey right now.
I was in T-ball.
That's true. It's a good
Get it
point.
big, grow into it.
Just
He
wear
was a Husky
dress.
kid, so now it still fits.
Hey, I was a Husky kid.
Oh, I'm
okay?
sorry. I'm sorry.
Now we hit a hot button. I
You
was
look great. You look
obese.
fantastic now.
Thank you.
You're
I was an
welcome.
obese child.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh no. But anyway, it's how could you
It's a tough
lose
call.
and then you're not? It's
Didn't somebody lose a no-hitter once?
yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like that's
people have
happened
lost
plenty.
no-hitters before.
Well, not plenty, but a handful of times.
It's happened.
how do you celebrate a perfect game if you lose?
You don't.
You don't.
I think I just.
I would be so pissed.
We don't
I'd
celebrate
walk
perfect
up.
games when you win now because you can't high five, you can't dogpile, you can't do anything. It's just
what
like,
would
hey,
happen?
there you go.
Yeah.
If there's a
what-
perfect game,
Sorry, I break the rules.
you're fine.
If I'm catching a perfect game, I'm jumping on my pitcher. I don't care.
Because that's most likely the only time in your life you're going to pitch one.
right.
And nobody
I
was
mean,
there to see it.
A lot of
Nobody.
people, like Brett Gardner, has 9 career walk-off hits. Nobody has more. Does anyone have more than one perfect game? Does Ryan? Does Nolan Ryan have more than one? He has like 7 no-hitters, but perfect game. I don't think anyone has more than
so.
one.
I don't know. Let's look it up.
And what happens, going back to dogpile, what happens when you win the World Series? Whatever team wins the World Series, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, I hope by then there's some sort of I hope by then there's some sort of vaccine.
Air 5 and you walk off the field.
You just go home.
Well, everybody
You go
can get
drink a
it
beer
at
at your-
that point. You just go home and
Right,
you're quarantined for
it's
14
okay.
days.
True, exactly.
Not
Are there going to
actually,
be
'cause it's
are
not
there
a
going to
good
be
health thing, but
champagne? Are there going to be champagne celebrations when you win the division?
from 6 feet apart? You just got to get some. You got to pop the cap the right
It's
way.
crazy.
Everyone cracks open one beer and they sit at their locker and they drink.
Completely sick. All right, Cash. Who is your most hated person of the week?
Oh boy,
I'm gonna go a little off script here.
I think I know this.
it's always off script, Cash.
No.
Cash is
one's-
never on script.
This one's gonna hit hard.
Okay.
Here's some truth bombs here.
Okay. Here we go. I was
My
looking forward to
most
it.
hated player of the week
Mm.
is Deshaun Jackson.
Mm.
Ooh.
This guy obviously plays in the NFL, but spit out some anti-Semitic bullshit on social media yesterday, which hit me the wrong way. And I'm angry. And I'm finally at a platform where I could talk about the fact that this guy is the biggest royal piece of garbage I've ever seen in my life. Okay? You say one bad thing about Black Lives Matter, and that's it. Game over. You're not allowed to speak to anyone for the rest of your life. This guy just pretty much says a whole post about anti-Semitism, and the Eagles just apologize, and everything's forgiven. And that's
They-
a whole load of bullshit.
No. They
No.
did not. They apologized and they condemned Deshaun Jackson and they said that
That is
we do
true.
not stand with him whatsoever.
Whippity do. Are you serious? Come on.
What
I
did they
mean-
do to Riley Cooper?
They cut him.
And then
No, they
Deshaun
kept,
Jackson
they kept him on the
cut.
team, actually.
They did?
Yeah.
Well, the
He
Eagles.
stayed for a
bad,
year.
Bad
The
look,
Eagles.
Philly.
I don't know. They got to cut him
Bad
immediately.
look, Philly. But
He
nevertheless,
he put Hitler quotes on his Instagram story.
it's bad. It's bad. And
Is Deshaun Jackson still that good where you need him on your team, Scott?
Yes. He's
well,
still
he
that good.
shouldn't be.
I'm not going to get into that with
He
you
was
guys.
he was my most hated player before, and now,
Because of Matt Dodge?
yeah, we're not gonna get into it. But
Should have punted the ball out of bounds.
yeah, he should have, and he
He
got
also
cut.
shouldn't have blown a 30-point lead.
Oh yeah,
Fair.
there was a lot of different big things that shouldn't.
It was a
have
rough
happened.
day for me.
But
I'm sure
nevertheless,
Cash was there too.
yeah, it was bad. I threw my gloves over the mezzanine. I still haven't seen them.
Man.
To me, that's a problem because it just is. Everything going on in the world, it's a problem. So
How is he not completely done? I mean, this cancel culture that's spreading throughout society like a wildfire. Why is he not completely done?
Let me tell you something that nobody realizes is that a lot of people don't like Jewish people. And since there's not that many Jewish people in the world, only 2% of the population is Jewish. It's not that big of a deal, but not that many people like Jewish people. So that's why he hasn't been canceled.
I think he should be canceled.
I think it's a fair point. I don't want to elaborate and go too in depth with this.
No,
but
I don't think we should either, but he's my most hated player of the week.
As he should. All right,
Yeah,
Ty and Cash.
I like that
Ty and
pick.
Cash. Ty and Scott, final thoughts for you guys.
Who first?
Oh, whoever you guys.
you
You
don't
guys are
have
adults. You can
anything.
decide.
All right. Well, I'm pulling up my tweet for today. Also, I guess I'll preface it while I do this. So today, date of filming, what is it? Tuesday, July 7th, which would be yesterday if you're listening to it on the day that the podcast is dropping. Miguel Andujar took Garrett Cole deep. We talked about this before earlier in the podcast. So I went on Twitter and I found the Yes Network's clip of it that they tweeted. So I just made like kind of a lighthearted joke. Obviously over text, you can't show any emotion. You can't show your tone. You can't show anything. So I wrote, love that Aaron Judge and Miguel Andujar are taking our ace deep, but slightly concerned about our $300 million ace. And I had this like 10-year-old or somebody like in my notifications, and he said, and I quote, "Dude, chill. It's one at bat during a sim game. Calm down, LOL." And I was just looking at my phone, saying like, that is exactly why I do not respond to tweets from verified accounts, because of this reason.
10-year-old's
people
gonna jump on you.
People just jump on me for no reason. How is being slightly concerned grounds to tell me to calm down when it was a joke? And that's it. And I don't know.
Well, I
this
gave
is
you
why
a
Twitter is
sarcastic comment
ruthless
the other
place.
day about Nick Swisher, and you didn't understand the sarcasm.
That one pissed
Yeah,
me
that's
off.
So
my
how
point.
can you blame?
How can
How can you not tell I was being sarcastic?
Because I don't really like what you have to say.
Okay.
So I pick and choose what I feel.
How like you didn't like you didn't
The
like it when I
difference
said
there-
that Cam Newton was washed up. You didn't
No,
like
I didn't. I did not like that.
That's a
I knew-
conversation for another day and possibly another podcast because we talk baseball here, but we can touch on it. I don't know. Let's table that one for next week.
that. I don't know. We'll table that one.
No, but the difference with that is we were having a conversation. So sarcasm was welcomed. I don't even know this guy. And he just felt the need to just jump down my throat. And that's it.
See, if you put your account on private, nobody can get to you.
Well, we run a social media thing here.
That's
so I
true.
don't know.
That's a good
I'd kinda
point.
like
You're a
people to
social
find
media.
us.
You're an entrepreneur. You're a social media.
We're all part of it. Is your Twitter on private, Glenn?
No, it's not.
Oh boy.
Thank God.
Oh boy.
Scott, I'm going to bait you into your final thought. You are against the Yankees' facial hair policy. So go off, King.
At this point, like, why can't someone have a beard? Why can't someone have?
Because the
long
company
hair?
has a policy that you must abide by.
Whoop de freaking do. George Steinbrenner's dead. Like,
Oh.
But his son's the owner.
So
it's an outdated policy, man. Like,
okay, but if I was employed right now, I couldn't have this. I'd have to clean it up.
you'd still
minors?
be allowed to have facial hair.
Yeah, but I
I
can't
can
do
walk into
whatever
my
I
job
want.
and have a beard. Like, I can have a beard. I can have long hair
Well,
if I want.
But they're
to.
also
Every
paying you a
company's-
lot of money.
Every company's different.
But like, what is so bad
So
about?
for
someone
those who
having a
haven't
beard?
seen it, Andrew McCutcheon went off on
He didn't
a.
go
He didn't even
off.
He didn't go off. He didn't go off. Let me
Didn't go off.
rephrase.
He was asked a question about
asked-
the Yankees.
And he wasn't ready for the question. So it came off a little like critical on the Yankees about how it takes away from a player's uniqueness and individuality. My argument is that you shouldn't need facial hair to be unique. I think that's lame. But, you know, a lot of people, a lot of these younger generations like having long hair. They like having beards. And the Yankees since 1973 have had this policy started by George Steinbrenner when he bought the team that he wants his players clean cut. And the idea of that is that you, as an individual, are not bigger than the pinstripes that you wear.
And I couldn't agree more. for the same reason they don't have names on the back of their jerseys. You play what's on the front, and everyone will remember the name on the back.
And I talked about this in the group chat last night, and I'm going to compare the two companies because they're two of the most recognizable and famous American institutions that you can find, and that's Disney and the Yankees. Both are worldwide. Everybody knows about those two companies. The Yankees hat is one of the most iconic articles of clothing, and obviously Disney is a billion-dollar entertainment corporation. Both have their employees look a certain way to uphold the standard of the brand according to the leader, which is the CEO, whether it's Bob Iger, or the owner of the Yankees, which is Hal Steinbrenner. So they have the right, in my opinion, to tell their employees, hey, you have to look a certain way to play the part if you're going to be a part of this corporation.
I agree.
And if you can still have a beard and look professional,
well, I mean, if you don't like it, don't play for the Yankees.
I wouldn't say they could reverse it completely, but I would not be opposed to maybe the hair. But I mean, the facial hair is.
See, that's
I
where
feel like the facial hair could stay.
I don't agree. I don't agree because if you look at some of the guys on the team, like look at Garrett Cole, he still has long hair. It's not shade.
I mean, CC Sabathia, if you look at highlights, go on YouTube, type in CC Sabathia. He still has a beard. It's just not this long, like what Cash
You're not allowed to have over a 2. I read up on the rule last night. You're not allowed to have over a 2.
2 is pretty significant. Like I got my hair cut today. This is a 2.
You look great. I
appreciate that, but that's not the point here. This is a 2. If I had this on my face, like it'd be noticeable.
And that article could have been wrong, but that's because what Jeter used to say was they don't like us going more than 1 or 2 days without shaving. So I don't know. I mean, I guess the universal rule is clean shaven. But the hair thing, look at Clint Frazier still has long hair. It's just not down to where it was.
That's fair. I mean, look, I think it's just stupid to keep harping on it.
I don't know. It's a lost point for me to argue with
Scott, do you need your beard to be unique to who you are as a person?
No, but I like having it.
I made a sarcastic comment in the group chat. Nick Swisher is one of the most boisterous people the Yankees have ever had. He was clean cut.
Yeah, he shaved his beard. He shaved his
beard. He's still an individual. The idea that
right.
I'd rather a player say, I want a beard because I just like the way I look with a beard on instead of cleanly shaven, instead of just this bullshit, I want to be unique and I want to be my own person. I think that's stupid.
And that's what
I look
arguing.
better with. I look better with a beard. Just say that. But it's still not going to change the rules that the company gives you.
That's fair. I mean, all right.
Also,
so going
Scott,
off that,
Scott, if the Yankees said, "I'll give you $30 million per year, but you have to shave," are you going to say yes or no?
Sure.
Okay.
But I'm not going to have that opportunity. They're not calling me tomorrow offering me $30 million. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to argue for the fact that someone should be able to have a beard.
Going off that, I tweeted today that a Garrett Cole T-shirt is going to be coming out with his quote saying, "You play for the Yankees, you shave the beard, and that's what's up."
And that's what's up. It's one of my favorite.
So that will be on a T-shirt by the time this podcast drops. So go over to capsonsports.com/store or /shop. I don't know. Check our social media out. You know where to find us. That shirt will be out, and yeah, buy it. Wear it.
Everyone's going to wear them.
I hope so.
It's going to be the biggest shirt. It's going to be the biggest shirt in town. I guarantee it.
That'd be nice.
So that will just about do it for this episode of Base Hit Ball 4. We'll be back next week, 1 week closer to finally having opening day. For Alex Cashman and Scott Roswald and Tyler Blumenstick, my name's Glenn Denier saying so long and have a good rest of your week.